They develop to mushrooms that are infecting our bodies, that are making us sick.
Tonight at 6, an Albany family trapped in a nightmare. Mold, rot, and mushrooms growing out of the walls. They've begged for help but say it's not coming fast enough.
Nothing has been done. No licensed plumber has been here. It is still not rectified for the moisture in the walls.
Now, CBS 6 is investigating what's really being done to fix the problem.
When she contacted you about the mushrooms, did you contact a remediation company then to take
No, I didn't.
CBS 6 News starts now.
Good evening, I am Tom Eschen. A CBS 6 investigation tonight into what one Albany family calls a health nightmare. They say they've been living for months inside an apartment filled with mold, even mushrooms growing on the walls. The family says their children are even getting sick now. City code enforcement have cited the property owner multiple times, but despite the violations, this family is still stuck with nowhere to go. CBS 6's investigative reporter Brianna Sapardi went inside the apartment to see for herself, and she's live for us in studio now. Good evening, Bree.
Good evening, Tom. The family first discovered the mold back in September, and here we are 8 months later, and you can still see water damage on the ceilings and what appears to be mold still visible. Now, I tracked down the landlord who says the tenant involved code enforcement, and that delayed the repair process. In the meantime, the family says they've had no choice but to continue living there. Now, tenant advocates say this highlights a bigger issue. There is often no fast or effective system to force property owners to make critical repairs promptly.
You can see the pucker of it. And this is what he does.
It started with water pouring through the ceiling and behind the walls. The ceiling sagging, paint peeling, and walls swollen with moisture. But this persistent leak inside this Albany apartment would soon turn into something much worse. Behind the walls, a hidden danger was growing.
September of this year that just passed, I woke up with mushrooms. They began to form in different ways to the point they developed to mushrooms that are infecting our bodies, that are making us sick.
Shirley Gaines learned mold had taken over her home, infecting her family. The situation inside was so bad, mushrooms began growing out of the ceiling, a sign of extreme long-term water intrusion in the building.
The mushroom spores, it has affected them with brain fogs, mood swings, respiratory, asthma, repeated steroids that is impossible for us to continue to live with taking steroids.
Surrounded by toxic spores, Gaines says her children have become very ill, requiring frequent visits to the doctors.
Repeated back and forth to the hospital, repeated routine urgent care visits from the doctors, sent out of the doctors into the emergency room centers.
After her children were evaluated by pediatric pulmonology at Albany Medical Center, their provider linked their worsening health conditions to the family's living environment. In a letter, the provider writes the children's respiratory symptoms have increased notably in severity over the past 4 to 6 months, citing the home environment as the cause of chronic inflammation, breathing issues, sleep disruption, and behavioral instability. The records also state one of the children now requires increased respiratory medication in the setting of ongoing mold exposure. The children were also seen by specialists at ENT and allergy services, where a physician assistant wrote they are very concerned for the welfare of the family and that they should be removed from the home altogether. In the note, the provider calls the apartment a, quote, toxic situation, writing, I am aggressively treating their condition. However, this will be futile unless they are removed. The provider linking the children's ongoing health issues to the continued mold exposure inside the apartment.
But meanwhile, we're being sick and nothing has been done. No licensed plumber has been here. It is still not rectified for the moisture in the walls, and therefore there has not been any proper remediation done.
I visited the Clinton Avenue apartment to see for myself.
This is where the mushrooms are.
From what I saw, the damage appeared far from gone. Just above the toilet, peeling paint from water damage exposed what's beneath.
Can't use our bathroom since December.
Brown water stains decorate the walls.
This right here is from the roof.
And as for the mushrooms that were growing out of the ceiling,
all they did was cut it.
Yeah. Some may ask, why not just move?
Well, that's what's in the plan. However, when you have hopes for everything to be done. And because I have Section 8 as well, Section 8 has to go through a process to put you in a place.
City records show the property has been cited multiple times, requiring action to address the mold.
I'm very proactive with dealing with things. I don't let things linger.
I tracked down the property owner, Corey James. He tells me a different story, claiming he tried to get the work done, but was halted by code enforcement and the tenant.
In September, when she contacted you about the mushrooms, did you contact a remediation company then to take care?
No, I didn't.
The problem was probably very serious if there's mushrooms growing out of the ceiling.
To be honest with you, if it's growing, you're sitting there watching it, you should say something.
So, why not right then and there have a, licensed remediator come to take care of the mushrooms and the rest of the mold?
At that point, like I stated, I'm going off of my knowledge, with things. And with that being said, like I said, I'm learning as I'm going in terms of dealing with certain steps to take care of things like that. So, I didn't know the extent of the damage, just thought it was just probably from the water.
Corey James did send a handyman to the home 5 days later. Video shows him cutting the mushrooms off from the wall.
Hold on. I need them to check it.
That he cut out the area, he cut out the sheetrock, treated it with, spray, mold spray, and he patched the area back.
I think it was pesticide that was used.
Pesticide? What kind of pesticide was that?
So they sent me a picture of the pesticide used, the spray that was used, and it said pesticide on the can.
Okay, I think that's when he was filling it in, but I spoke to him about that, and he understood where I was coming from because that was a mistake on his part. But he got the correct materials after and took care of it.
The tenant contacted James in September after noticing the mushrooms. She then contacted code enforcement the following month. Ultimately, he said the remediation work was pushed off until March 23rd of this year. But that day, James said the tenant denied them access to the apartment.
The remediator actually, the day of, presented his ID, a copy of his certification and ID. That same day with the police present, at that point I said, we're just going to have to see what transpires with the court case because, if she's preventing me access and I can't do anything.
I know she first saw the mushrooms in September, she said.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just curious, why did it take 6 months?
It's 6 months because she contacted building code. She contacted Section 8. So with building code, what they had me do was contact a licensed mold tester.
James says after initial testing was done, code enforcement required additional air quality testing for the entire building, pushing the timeline back further.
And her involvement of the city authorities significantly impeded my client's ability to make the repairs because significant administrative processes were required through the city's procedures.
The results of the assessment came back in January, showing a heavy presence of a fungi called cladosporium, a common indoor mold that can cause allergies and asthma in some people. The case is now going through Corporation Counsel, the city's legal department, which can seek further action against the property owner.
The way that tends to work is that Corporation Counsel will penalize the landlord for not making the repairs, but they're usually not forcing the landlord to make repairs.
Tenants advocates say regardless of who is to blame, the issue is how long cases like this can drag through the system.
It's not even code enforcement's fault at the end of the day. It's that the laws aren't allowing code enforcement to do issues, and the bureaucracy around a city is likely not allowing code enforcement to utilize the emergency repair fund, which exists and should prevent housing from being taken off the market and should prevent mushrooms growing in your ceiling, but it's not being used.
As you just heard, Canyon Ryan with United Tenants say he's pointing to language in the city charter that gives the chief building official the power to act in emergency situations if conditions are deemed unsafe.
So with that in mind, if we have a second here, what exactly does that charter say?
Well, that charter states that when a violation presents an immediate danger to the health, safety, or welfare of occupants, the city can take action to abate or remove that condition.
So if the city has that authority, what is the explanation for why that wasn't used here then?
Well, I actually did reach out to the city of Albany and I didn't hear back. I reached out to the code inspection officers on the case, but I didn't hear back from them. But advocates argue this is exactly what they're asking. United Tenants argues when children are living in conditions with what appears to be mold and even mushrooms growing inside the home, the city should be acting faster. But of course, these situations can become complicated legally, and that's what we're seeing in this case.
All right, we'll stay on this. Brianna, thanks so much for this reporting. Appreciate it.
Of course.